Good day. What is the dark day of the soul? Well, a dark day of the soul is mourning the death of your old self. Is mourning the death of old relationships. The dark day of the soul generally happens after a person has a very powerful awakening. The reason that we may call the dark day of the soul different than any other kind of depression is the fact that it does follow an awakening, and usually a very powerful awakening. So when we realize that we're quite attached to our old self, and when we awaken, it's a form of ego death. So a part of you has to die for you to awaken. And a lot of the times when a person awakens, they don't notice the death of the other parts of them. They don't notice the changes in their world for a while. So like they'll start to notice these big changes after they kind of come down from the euphoria of the awakening. And one thing that has to happen is we have to kill off our old self. And because our old self is based in a fear of death, and it's based in something that we've been holding on to for so many years, that there is an emotional attachment to it. And another reason why a person will go into the dark day of the soul after an awakening is that when they awaken, they may not fit in their world anymore. They may not fit in their family. They may not fit in their relationships. And because of that, it's like you're mourning the end of that also, right? There's also a push against people that have awakened. And I've noticed this, like I've said in other videos, that a lot of people that have awakened and found God, they are witch hunted by people around them. They are gaslighted and called insane. And all of that stuff, it's hard for us to not absorb that. So I kind of see that the dark day of the soul comes right before something very amazing. And so if you make it through your dark day of the soul, and I say if because a lot of people will either go back into them old selves and have to sedate themselves to do so, or a lot of people may not make it and they decide to end things. Because the dark day of the soul is the deepest and darkest depression I believe that you can have. However, you have to go through a death to realize that there's no such thing as death. So you are raptured after your dark day of the soul. When you make it through and you realize that old you had to die. These old ideas needed to die. And you accept where you're going and you accept the power of what you are, and you really lean on God, because God will be the one that pulls you out of that dark day of the soul. And when you realize all that you've gone through, you are raptured away from the tribulations. And I see right now, like, rapture is ascension, as far as I'm concerned. You're ascending out of the third dimensional fear patterns and insecurities and all the other pathogens around the old us. So anybody that is going through the dark day of the soul, remember there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's so bright. And it's a light of fearlessness. It's a light of of meaning. In life, we need meaning. And I'm telling you, it seems like right now, if you're in that dark day of the soul, it seems like right now that there's nothing. It means nothing. Everything is... It's a lot of the time what the dark day of the soul is questioning the awakening. Questioning all the mystical and amazing stuff that's happened to you. And trying to decide, are you a crazy person? Or are you actually becoming a higher consciousness? For them to put me in the dark day of the soul, they actually had to inject me. And that sent me in a dark day of the soul. Like, imagine finding a deep connection to God and feeling it so deeply, and somebody takes it away from you. So that was six to 8 months. Like, I have to go back and look at the time, because when you're in that state, it's hell. And I think that you need to go through hell to understand what heaven is. And what is rapture? It's being pulled up to heaven to stand with God. Doesn't mean that you leave here. That just means that you are standing in heaven and you are on earth. And because you're standing there with God, He's got His hand on you, and He speaks directly to you, and He lets you know everything is going to be all right. The darkest place that we'll ever go will lead us to the brightest place. The darker the abyss, the brighter the light on the other side. And that's why we need to do this dark day of the soul without SSRIs or benzodiazepams or these kind of things. We can use plants to help us get through it. And plants, because they don't have these, it doesn't block these fears. It just helps you ease your way through the fears. These SSRIs and benzodiazepams and whatever else they give us to help us through our dark day of the soul just keeps us in it, or puts us in a cycle that we keep going in and out of it. We need to be able the fortitude to get through it for ourselves. And you can use plants, you can use CBD, you can use cannabis, you can use kratom, you can use kave, because these are plants that are not going to develop heavy dependency, and they allow you to continue going through what you need to go through. So I hope that video helped with somebody, and yes, if anybody ever wants to talk when they're feeling down or anything at all, please contact me at melatonic, melatonic, @protonmail.com. Much love, and have a lovely day. God bless.